Hey, everybody. Welcome to What's in the Feed, the show brought to you by you. Um, Sorry for the delay. I'm sure not too many people missed it. This is a new podcast or this is a new show, and we're in the works. New camera, fix the microphone issue, and we're going to get down to it. I did promise a lot of people that I was going to give them a shout out. So, back to the concept of this show. It's very simple. I, Lotone, your host, just a conservative commentator, retired rapper. Essentially, what I do is quick-witted remarks on a lot of the conservative posts. I've been reposted and liked by the likes of, you know, somebody as special as Sebastian Gorka. So my little claim to fame is I'm Sebastian Gorka's favorite tweeter. Now, I'm being facetious about that, and one day it may get back to him, but much love. That just means people are paying attention, and I pay attention to the likes that I get on the posts, and so we comment on. So it is you that is the fuel to this fire, because whatever you comment on and the stories that I see or the replies that I get back on the posts that I like or the posts that I repost or the posts that I comment on are the subject matter of the show. So we're going to be playing catch up here. So as you can see on my screen here, news is going to start from way back last week when, of course, our good friend and well-known rhino, Dan Crenshaw, lost his primary for the Republican nominee. And I had to comment on this one. Why this guy flipped on MAGA is a mystery. I've been waiting for this to happen. Hopefully, he's the first rhino in line to get primaried. We need obstructionists. We don't need obstructionists gumming up the works. Used to be one of my favorites. I mean, when he came out, it really seemed like a bull in a china shop and seemed to encompass a lot of what we believed in. The MAGA, I would, of course, nobody's is gonna ever carry the MAGA flag. You may, and there's nothing wrong with that. I supported Trump before he was the president. I told people he was going to become the president the first time. They didn't believe. They laughed at it. I felt it. I knew it. But this guy, he's got to go. And he's got to be the first of a lot of people that have to go. I am shocked and dismayed. And we will get to the news this week when we catch up that there are a lot of these people jumping the ship. The Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlson's. It's shocking. So let this be the first of those that get their comeuppance for jumping ship. It makes no sense. Maybe one day, if he gets his little fox cut, he'll let us know exactly why he felt the way that he felt. On to the next. See my boy Don Lucre. What was this story? Uh-oh. Don Luker, one of my favorites going on right now. Breaking. I can confirm that every single political candidate the Grammy-winning rapper Cardi B has endorsed lost their elections. Kamala Harris suffered a presidential loss. Cardi's endorsement. Now Jasmine Crockett has joined Harris after losing the election right after Cardi's endorsement. Governor Gavin Newsom has been supporting Cardi despite Republicans after Nicki Minaj went all MAGA. And from her track record, I genuinely hope that Cardi B endorses Gavin Newsom sometime. I do too. I have no concept of how anybody could take Gavin Newsom as a presidential candidate seriously. But we'll talk about him when we need to talk about him. I will give him no airplay. Um, my comment on that one was she's losing elections as frequently as she loses boyfriends. As you know, Cardi B has been getting around. Um, After still being married to Offset, she had her foray with Stephon Diggs, who promptly kicked her to the curb, which I find to be very sad. But as you can see, you probably don't want an endorsement from Cardi B. Uh, Here we go. Democrat, and again, shout out to Dom Lucre. Just happens to be that I commented on these in, in a linear fashion. So, Democrat Representative Al Green is now projected to lose his primary, and he sits behind 2,000 votes. Well, shocker, since this movie has already played out. He is gone, gone, gone. And I'm glad to see him gone. I hate to see these, you know, dancing monkeys here clowning and shucking and jiving, and this guy was the worst of the worst. The old generation of these kind of niggas, excuse my French, who like to put on a production and come from the era of, you know, getting attention by doing the kind of things that he did. So he shall get no airplay. So I said another win. Dare I say, Democrats are starting to get some sense. Well, it's too early to celebrate sanity coming to their side, but one can hope. I tell you what, man, that guy, one of the biggest disgraces of the Democrat Party with his continuing trying to impeach the president. Shout out. Look at that. Jasmine Crockett is an election denier. Yeah. She tried to claim that somebody was that they were cheating. And in the last episode, I let you know is the most ironic thing that I've ever heard for a Democrat to talk about being cheated in a Democrat primary. So bye-bye, Jasmine Crockett. Shout out Davis Michael Delaney. As you can see, he shared the first episode. I told him I was going to give him a shout out. The first person to like and share the first episode of What's in the Feed. And that's an AI generated face. I wasn't really mean mugging like that. I think I might change it to a more friendly face because I just looks like I'm mad at the world. But the background was super cool. So shout out, bud. Thanks for reposting that. And thanks for the support. Of course, we're getting back to last week. So we all know who's been in the news, and that has been John Thune. And this was from last week before the big, huge outrage. This whole week on conservative Twitter has literally been nothing but dunking on John Thune. We can't understand it. I'll make my comment now, even though this is a post from last week, where, of course, Scott Presler, another one of my heroes on conservative Twitter, Scott Presler may not be your cup of tea when he's in an interview. But as far as the content and the originality and the intelligence of what Scott Presler does, he is a gem. He's an American hero. And what he does and what he did to get Trump elected and what he continues to do to bring voters into the Republican side onto the conservative side is priceless. Shout out Scott Presler. We love you. And he's been on the forefront of the push to get the SAVE Act passed. I cannot understand how something with a 80% overall approval rating is getting sidetracked. But John Thune has been on a campaign in the last couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks, let's say, since last week this all started, when we started to realize that this guy was shuffling his feet on the SAVE Act. And he's about to fuck around and find out. Because right now, the outrage on Twitter, there's nothing on my feed. Everybody is going hard on John Thune to pass this thing. And I've got an interesting video that I have bookmarked that I should probably play, and I will play, that will give a point of view on what might actually be going on here. And that John Thune, of course, as we all thought in the beginning when there was the John Thune, John Cornyn, who's better, for the speaker, the speaker position. We all had a thought. Of course, John Thune, with the consensus with John Thune was better than John Cornyn. But I tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, somehow he sneaked in there as a Rhino agent, and I can't look at this guy anymore. Somebody whom I thought was going to be a positive for the conservative movement, but has been a utter disappointment. But this guy has been posted over and over again on bills that they are working on right now that are not the SAVE Act. And so, as you can see, Scott has done a couple of these polls within the last, couple of weeks where he has polled the general public on what they feel should be the priority. And as you can see here, the SAVE Act, 99.8%. And we've been reposting this. I've been in this mix. I've decided that I was going to put my hat in the, in the arena here, and I was going to get to post and repost some things. I don't think John Thune, frankly, I know for a fact John Thune does not look at the comments, because if he looked at the comments, he would not A, be able to look himself in the mirror, and B, he definitely would not be able to sleep at night, because he is getting the biggest blowback that I have seen in years of any politician. I mean, worse than what I consider, what I would assume, the backlash Trump gets on Blue Sky. Anyways, John Cornyn, let me play a video here for you of a opinion by Dennis Michael Lynch on what he feels is going on with the John Thune thing. Let's listen in.
The SAVE Act is dead. It's not going anywhere. It's never going to pass. You're going to hear many different reasons why. Some people will tell you because the Republicans want to keep the filibuster pure, not to hand it over one day to the Democrats who will use it against us when they've got power back. You'll hear that there aren't enough votes. You'll hear even, I think Glenn Beck said today, that it's because the Republicans don't want to put in the hard work. It could last 60 days, 24 hours a day. How do you organize this? Who's there? Who's not there? It's none of that. I've been saying this for a year, and now it's only become more clear. Who wouldn't want to pass illegal aliens can't vote? You need voter ID. I mean, it's the most simple layup in the world. But at the end of the day, the entire Congress, not just the left, but the right, want Trump to fail. Trump has less bills put into law than any other president in modern times. It is just so simple. They all hate him. He has called them all out at one point or another, given them all nicknames, degraded them, made them feel embarrassed at some point. And because they're politicians, because they lie when they move their lips, They have just pretended. They have gone through the process of just pretending like they want to have Trump's back, like they too are MAGA.
Yes,
None of
that's
them
true.
are. They want
Nope.
Trump to fail. They are not going to give him any victory
I'm
whatsoever.
starting to
And
believe
the
this.
Republicans are never going to piss off the Democrats because they're all on the same side. And
Preach
so what
on
they
it.
do is they jerk our chain and
Yes.
they make it sound like they're getting there. We're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Oh my God.
And nothing ever happens. And I
Aren't we
guarantee
tired of that?
that there are major Republicans, lots of Republicans, especially those who have been around for a while, who totally expect that we will lose the House and the Senate. And they're glad to see it happen because now Trump will be impeached. He will be removed. And ding dong, he's gone. And so too is MAGA. They don't just want to get rid of Trump. They want to get rid of you.
Yes.
They want to get rid of anybody who considers themselves MAGA. They want to put this country back on the track where it used to be, where it was driven by the establishment. And if you are missing this, you are either blind or you are in massive denial. And that includes the president of the United States. If he hasn't figured it out, none of these people are on his side. None of them are his friends. I don't trust half the people, if not more, that are in the White House on top of that. Trust me when I tell you, this is a concerted effort to lose the midterms and to get rid of Trump once and for all. That's the plan.
I agree with him. I probably wouldn't have agreed with him a week ago. But now as I watch and now as we realize and we start to look at what Thune and the Senate has been doing, they've been slow rolling nominees. We still have nominees that have not been confirmed in the cabinet. How's this possible? We're a year in. So it makes no sense that we would be slow rolling and purposely slow rolling. There's a process that they've got going on where they are purposely slow rolling. But they're having 3-day sessions or something. Look, don't quote me on it. I don't research, on the immortal words of Michael Rappaport. We do no fact checking here because all the content comes from, the users of X. But if you look at it and you have an intelligent, and you're observing this intelligently, why have they been slow rolling the nominations? Why have they been working on legislation other than what the overwhelming population of the United States wants? If we could get that in the bag, if we could get the SAVE Act passed, then all of the woes of the January 6th stuff and all of our concerns about the security of elections would be gone. We would have free and fair elections again, which the Democrats do not want. They want that worse than a hand on a hot stove, and everybody knows it. This is once again one of those obvious things where you go, well, of course, the Democrats do not want illegals to not be able to vote because where's their base? They're losing black folks. Let me just tell you straight up. And it happens subtly. There were a lot of people like myself that jumped the ship. And I think later on I got a video from, Isaiah Washington, who's made a huge stink on X, where he got a post that he's basically where he basically told doggone it, I'm missing his name. Anyways, the outrage and the and what I say is that there were a lot of folks that jumped ship. And believe me, I'm African American, got a lot of African American friends, grew up in the hood, was ghetto, did ghetto things, but pulled myself up from that, made a conscious decision that I wanted to be better. And I became better. I'm no better than anybody else. It's literally just self-motivation and to motivate yourself, to put yourself in a position that you want to be in life. And every individual is their own person. But they've lost a lot of their constituency. So a lot of the people who used to be a guaranteed vote, and I was one of them, I voted for Obama twice. And after the end of um, that second term, it started to really sink in what's going on here. Because remember, the slogan was hope and change. And I truthfully, and a lot of people did, and there was no reason why we shouldn't, because there was the opportunity for hope and change to happen. We had just come out of the whole Bush thing, and everybody was tired of that forever war. And I know that, there are people that have the criticism of what's going on in Iran right now, and I can understand that, because there was a, thought process that we aren't going to do this again, and we're not going to get ourselves into a quagmire. But that being said, that hope and change never happened, and that hope and change where we're actually seeing things change, it's not under the person who promised that to begin with. As much criticism as we may have of some of the things and some of the ways that Trump does the things that he does, he is getting stuff done. So that's where I'm at on, in my opinion on that. But I do find that it is suspect and strange and unusual that we're having this problem bringing the Save America Act, to up for a vote. I mean, and I started to feel a little bit powerless this week, and I conversations back and forth and comments back and forth let me know that a lot of you are feeling the same way. We can talk all we want about let's get rid of uh, John Thune and he needs to be fired and all of this stuff, and then you've got a lot of the conservative pundits and you've got a lot of the Republican politicians basically saying we need to do this now. We need to do that. We need to get this done. But what's getting done? Nothing. I think this guy's getting off on this for real. Quite frankly, I don't see him addressing it at all. And when he does address it, it is not what we want to hear. I don't think this guy gives a fuck, if you really want to know the truth. Excuse my French once again. But now we're in a position as to what do we do? We, the people, voted for these people to get in. We, the people, voted unanimously almost. If we're looking at on our side, as far as conservatives go, it's a 100%er that we get this bill passed. But what do? We can't do anything. Right now, we're powerless. We have to wait for this guy to decide that he wants to do, or what he wants to do. We don't have any control of that. So all we can do is we can continue to give pressure, where pressure is due. Simple truths like this. So very interesting. Little video, and sometimes I say, and I'll give you the comment before I play the video. Simple truths like this, pointed out so simple, are just absolutely perfect. Short but powerful. Let me play this video. You tell me what you think.
Did you know Muhammad is actually in the Bible? It's really interesting. One of my Muslim friends came to me and he had said that Muhammad was a prophet in the Bible. And I was like, really? So I looked into it and it is. It's right here. Matthew 24:11. It does confirm. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people.
You hear what he said? False prophet. Now, I don't care who feels whatever way that they want to feel about it. So let's get into the real zone here. There's a lot of people that are touchy and feely about Muslims or about Islam as a religion. We all have freedom of religion, let me say that. And you can believe whatever you want to believe, even if what you believe is wrong. Now, I know that there's a lot of strong Christians, a lot of strong Catholics, a lot of strong, a lot of strong denominations. I myself am a Christian, and I believe in Christ, our Lord and Savior. And a lot of people have been affirming this. I'll affirm it. But I will tell you quite frankly that Islam is not a religion of peace. It is not a religion of getting along. It is not a religion of love. It is a religion of everything that is antithetical to what Christians are. And quite frankly, you can turn that around, and that's how they feel about us. You understand? What I'm saying is everything that they represent is antithetical to us. Everything we represent is antithetical to them. What does that mean? Excuse me. That means that at some point, we are not going to get along. Will we ever get along? I don't know. Do I think that the human race deserves salvation and love, and that humans are humans, and that we're all on the same planet sharing this experience at the same time? I do. I don't think that they're not human. I think that they're deceived. And this is the problem. I myself am an analytical person. Once you know the truth, then you detect the lie immediately. And we all know that's a lie. It's a lie. We have to be vigilant on how we let ourselves become corrupted by other beliefs. We must stay steadfast in our belief of what we know to be true. And that's Jesus died on the cross, and he rose 3 days later to save us from our sins. Now, this isn't a sermon, and we don't need to get religious, but the truth is the truth. And if you feel that way, you say amen with me. Oh, it's a good post here. Now, of course, I said that there was going to be a shout out to Isaiah Carter. And as you guys know, Isaiah Carter does a radio show, I believe, in DC. If not, I've seen his face. He pops up on my feed, and, I follow him. And he posts quite a few man on the street sort of, I'm walking and talking videos. Very intelligent, got a lot to say, and I respect a lot of his views. But he was getting a lot of backlash. Here is a classic example of where we find the kind of responses from the left, the woke left, the brainwashed, the left behind, the NPCs, as we call them, non-player characters. They're tools. They're useful idiots. There's a lot of names for them. But as I was saying in episode 1, these people cannot be happy. I will repeat this again. These people cannot be happy They are miserable. They hate their existence, and all they do is lose. As my famous words to my converted brother, aren't you tired of getting kicked in the balls? Aren't you tired of always losing? Aren't you tired of always being on the wrong side of things? I'm not saying I'm always right, but I know when I'm not wrong. Anyway, so he gets a response from Wanda Speaks. Who knows? Subi bitch, who cares? This is all public. So he says, Donald Trump has found a way to make our lives worse in every conceivable way. And it says, your life sucked before Donald Trump came along. Never listen to pro-Democrat nonsense like this lady. Like this, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, you must please mock them relentlessly, routinely. These fucking people are losers, they're miserable, and they're retarded losers. I agree with you, Isaiah. And then she says, nah, your life sucked before Trump, but you can get attention by being the black guy that says stupid shit white people want to say, but used to not want to be labeled as racist. Now, this shit got right under my skin because believe me, I'm well spoken and I am successful now. But I was one of them retarded ass niggas that you see on these TikTok videos not too long ago. So to try to insult black people, in this case, Isaiah, is the most insulting thing ever, because I take this personally. You can have your own mind. You can have your own brain. You can have your own opinion. And that doesn't mean that you're shilling for white people. They do not want black people to come to enlightenment. That scares them more than anything on earth, is for us to find out that they've been manipulating us and taking advantage of us for years. And as I said earlier, there is a lot of us that got off that boat. So my response is simple. I felt like I needed to snap back on this one and defend Isaiah. He's not the only one. You will see more and more and more people that are relatable, people that are normal, that aren't Uncle Toms, that aren't house niggas, that aren't the kind of things that they would love to insult you on, because just like Nicki Minaj, the second that you decide that you are going to say something with any common sense, all of a sudden you're off the reservation, and they can't handle that. You will see how easily they will stab you in the back. I need all my black folks to understand this. The first person that they're going to attack, the second that you do not agree with the cult mentality, is you. And a lot of people discovered this. I mean, it's not just black folks. I mean, think of like the Anna Kasparians. There's a lot of former Democrats that said something that made sense. And all of a sudden they're being attacked because common sense. Look, I don't want a dude with a dick in, the gym bathroom. Boom. You're off the reservation now. I don't, we want kids to have affirming care. That's ridiculous. You can't let kids that are under 18 make these decisions up. You're off the reservation. Jim Crow, black people don't have IDs. That's ridiculous. Everybody has an ID because how the hell else do you cash your welfare check? You're off the reservation. But my response to that was, first off, just because your life sucks, don't graft that shit on others. I remember when being a hater was a bad thing. And I'd say this, and this is an aside. I grew up in a time where if you were a hater, and we all know what that is, a player hater, you player hater. Y'all remember that? It wasn't too long ago. I don't know why people do not remember this. Being a hater was weak. Being a poor sport was weak. If you played and you couldn't win and you took your ball home, you never played again. You were ostracized and you weren't picked because you need to learn how to lose in order to understand how important it is to win or to figure out a way to win. Losing is the lesson. You're not a victim because you lost. You lost because you didn't do something right, or you made a mistake, or there's something you could have improved. That's how I believe. I think that's how it is in religion. But it has been for me. The more I get kicked down, the more that it builds up that power, the crucible. So I says, that's all you do here. Hate on the facts. And that's what it is, literally. They just cannot hear the truth. Go get your COVID shot and tell me how you feel after that. Your world revolves around the loser mentality. Black people are off that sinking ship. It's just common sense. So shout out to Isaiah for having the courage to tell these people to shove it when, all you're doing is speaking of common sense. Now for a little bit of comedy.
Her boyfriend kisses her on the lips.
Oh.
On the bus.
What?
Yeah.
That is nasty.
What? The only time you can kiss somebody is when you actually love them and they're a part of your family.
Right.
But like when you get in love with somebody, when you're actually in love with somebody, you can kiss.
And what age do you think that would be? Like appropriate?
When you're in like the teens. I mean,
I found this to be cute. Says her boyfriend kisses her on the lips on the bus. And I says to me, what an intelligent little girl. I think that's so cute. And the mom quizzing her. I said, something tells me that she's telling her mom exactly what she wants to hear. This little girl has a bright future as a lawyer. Man. There's some craziness going on in the world. Kentucky girl shot out. Check this video out.
Use Apple Pay, honestly, just be so careful. This is a little embarrassing to admit, but if this could help one person, then I'm really willing to share what my experience was. I'm just gonna lay it out like this. When you use Apple Pay, that's real money. That's true American dollars from your credit card. If you have your credit card connected, that's where the money is being sourced from. It's not like a special form of Apple Pay, Apple dollars.
Okay, I can only listen to so much of this, but you get the gist. Shout out to Adam Carolla, who paints a lot of some of my opinions. Actually, he doesn't. But I've been listening to Adam for a long, long time. And he has a theory that the generation that grew up after us, our kids, do not see the value, do not understand the value of money. When we were kids and we went to the store, we'd have change in our pocket. We'd have $1 or $2. We had something physical, meaning when we took that dollar out of the wallet and we gave it to the shop clerk and he gave us back 23 cents, we lost something. something went away and we understood how important it was, I'm going to give this guy $1, and if it costs $1, I'm not going to get $1 back. That dollar has value. Even if it's only a caveat, we'll get people that'll argue that, dollars are, that are backed by the Federal Reserve and that's all fake and that we print money or whatever. Yeah, good point. But the point I'm trying to make is that in the mind of some of these people, and I'm not going to clown on her too hard because whatever, she didn't understand, even though ignorance is no excuse. It's not an excuse that you can use in law. Remember that. If you break a law and you claim, well, I didn't know that I was breaking the law, you still broke the law and you can be prosecuted for that in a court of law. And I learned that, the hard way. So the point is what they're trying to say is it's no excuse. So in this case, if you spend money, that money has to be taken from somewhere. And God knows how much she spent because it looks like she's in turmoil. But my response on that is, oh my God. I mean, really, oh my God. The fact that this person at this age, who seems to be in her mid-20s, does not understand the way money works is shocking and disturbing, really, if you must know. In my opinion. I mean, you tell me what you think. Quick clip here, real quick. Check this out. So, of course, now we're catching up with this week. And yesterday, we all know what happened in New York with the attempted bombing. The young man tries to throw a screw nail loaded bomb into the middle of a protest and nearly got away with it. I mean, could have killed, could have hurt, could have maimed a lot of people. And we're already on edge with what's going on in Iran right now. And the fact that we know that Biden let in millions and millions and millions of immigrants, a lot of whom weren't just from Mexico or from South American countries, but were coming from all around the world. We already know how I feel about the scourge of Islamism. Islamism, I think is what they call it. We will always say that there is the exception to every rule and that there's good people on both sides, I guess. Not to use a term that was made negative. But truth is truth. There's going to be a lot of good people that aren't radicalized. But the point is now the cognitive dissonance and the Trump derangement syndrome. There is a group of people, and it's not just Islamic, that feel like anything that Trump does, they must push against. And they're becoming radicalized. I don't care what these people try to tell you. White supremacy is not the greatest scourge of the United States. It doesn't exist. You don't see Klansmen running down the street. You don't see skinheads trying to kill black people. It just don't happen. I live in one of the Midwest, a small-ish Midwest town in Indiana, moved from a big city, Seattle, where it's supposed to be progressive and wide open. And I'll tell you right now, I've never felt safer. Been here for 3 years, never had a problem. Had more problems when I lived in the bastion of liberal heaven Try to go downtown Seattle. Try to go where the tourists are. Hope you don't get stabbed. But I find this story, which popped up the day later after the suspect had thrown the bomb. We caught him. We caught his accomplice. I knew when I saw Mondami, not denounce it and try to claim, well, it's your fault because you are who you are. And so that's why this guy threw this bomb, that they needed to change the narrative. And here we go. One day later, this is what happens.
We are seeing that now live outside of Gracie Mansion here in New York City. CB, what are we learning?
Hey, Sandra. Well, we are here in New York City's Upper East Side neighborhood. We're actually a couple blocks down from Gracie Mansion, which, yes, is the home of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Right now, officers are investigating a suspicious device that was found in a popular park nearby called Carl Schurz. We've seen officers block off this area to traffic, and we've got members of the NYPD bomb squad and another command unit that are out here. Again, a suspicious device was located in a nearby park. Someone called it in. I'm told this by a police source, and now officers are investigating. No one is being allowed to drive through this area. And we've also seen we've also noticed that officers have bomb sniffing dogs that are moving through this area on side streets, going by homes just to look and see whether anything suspicious is uncovered.
Shout out Fox News, because you have to cover it the way that it needs to be covered. Is it real? Is it fake? We don't know. But I find it, and here's my comment, straight from my mouth, very suspect. Looks like someone is trying to reframe the narrative. They want the NBCs to think Mondami is in danger. Do you get this? That he's in danger when it's the Islamic sympathizers that are the threat. Look at the shiny thing over here. Look over here. Don't look over here. Look over here. You understand? This is how stupid the other side is, and how gullible they are, and how easily they are manipulated. They're going to forget all about the fact that we had two suicide bombers, essentially, the day before, trying to kill conservatives or trying to kill. Apologies, everyone. We have a storm here this evening, and so internet cut off right at the end of the story here on the Mondami thing. But I think this is a good place to end for the this week's episode of What's in the Feed. I simply ask that you subscribe. I simply ask that you continue to like, comment on the content on Twitter, because really it's you that feeds the content on this show. So I really appreciate it. And once again, if you are a conservative commentator and I commentate on your stuff, you will be featured on this show. So it's really a good way for us all to network and for us all to get a little bit of extra attention. And I'm only doing this quite simply because of the feedback that I got. I don't find myself to be anybody spectacular or more important than anybody else. So it's you that I look to for inspiration and for content. So that being said, this is Rumble exclusive. It will post on YouTube. However, it is Rumble exclusive, so you can find me on Rumble. The link is in the bio. And for this week, I want to say, check out the feed, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.